Hey, it's Whitney from EcoVeganGal.com and welcome back to another weekly Q&A. This week is a very special one because I have two amazing women joining today and a special giveaway for you. So I can't wait to tell you all about it, but first let me begin, as I do with all of the Google Hangouts, to let you know how you can participate. So this is live so that anybody watching can join in and ask questions, can interact with us here. And in order to best interact, here's what you'll need to do if you're watching live. You need to go to Google+, so plus.google.com. There's a link on my Facebook, there's a link on Twitter, and there also is a link on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, I recommend going over to the Google+ event so that you can ask your questions there if you want to be engaged with that part. If you're watching after the fact, if you're watching the recorded video, there's a link down in the YouTube description field where you can ask questions for a future Q&A. I do these every Saturday afternoon, and every week I go through your questions, and it always does this. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. I don't even know where that window is coming up. Oh, here it is. Sorry. I'm still working out. Today is like technical difficulties galore for this specific one. Anyway, so as I was saying, every week I go through your questions and I prepare them, I get my answers together, and oftentimes I have experts. This week I have Julieanna Hever, the plant-based dietitian, once again joining us, and she's going to jump into some special questions for you today. And next week I'm going to have Elizabeth Castoria, who wrote the incredible book, How to Be Vegan. So we're going to be talking all about how to be vegan with Elizabeth's expertise there. And I hope in the future to always have some incredible people. Julieanna was so amazing last week, and if you haven't seen that video yet, please check it out. But I also have a few things, announcements every week, so let me pull up those for you. First of all, I also want to mention that in addition to being able to click on the link and enter in your questions as text, I also have this amazing service called SpeakPipe, where you can actually send me voicemail so I can hear your voice. And I would love to incorporate these into the weekly Q&As as well, so that people can hear your voices if you're not able to make it. I think it's so nice. It's an extra level to getting to know somebody. And also, all of the links to anything I mention here, so websites I mentioned, books I mentioned, products, whatever it may be, those links are in the YouTube description below. So if you want to purchase anything after hearing about it, you can click on there and it'll lead you right to the buy page and you can get them. And I always look for things that are affordable for you. I mentioned that I'm going to have a giveaway, but first, one last thing is that I know some of you might see the length of these videos and think an hour is a long time. These are packed with information, so there's a lot going on here. But one thing I've heard on and on from people watching is that they turn on these videos and listen in the background while they're doing things. Maybe you're cooking, you're cleaning, you're doing something that requires you to listen or allows you to listen. I've been told that some people watch these or listen to these videos while taking baths. So you certainly don't have to just sit there, especially because a lot of this is more like a podcast style where we're talking, not so much going on the screen. But on this particular weekly Q&A, I'm going to be showing a lot of things. I've got a stack of books to recommend to you today based on some of the questions people have asked. And I have the giveaways plus a special product to talk about today. So also to note, for this specific Q&A, most of the Q&As tend to be broken down into 5 sections based on the EcoVeganGal.com website. So we have the Eat section, which is all about advice on foods to eat, the Love section, which is all about children, getting pregnant, animals, relationships with your romantic partners, the Look section, which is all about your appearance, so making sure that your hair, your makeup, your clothing, your shoes, all of that is done in an vegan way, and the Feel section, which is all about feeling your best mentally. So it's more about the inspirational, the anything that's related to your mind. It's also about fitness, holistic health, and the 5th section is the Act section, which is all about acting eco-friendly. So choices that you make in your lifestyle, choices that you make in your work life, your traveling, all of that. So this specific weekly Q&A, though, is all about parenting. So this is in honor of Mother's Day, which is coming up tomorrow, May 11th, and that's why I have my amazing guest today that I'm going to introduce to you in a moment. Now, if you are listening and you're suddenly feeling disappointed because I'm not going to get to those other sections, I want to encourage you to still stick around. Even if you're not currently a parent, even if you're not about to have a child, or you may not have any interest in having a child right now or in your life, I think this information is really amazing, and it's a huge topic in the vegan and health world because so many people are confused about how to have healthy pregnancies, how to raise their children healthy, all those different aspects. So if it doesn't affect you specifically, these are still things that you can apply to the rest of your life. Maybe you're inspiring other people. For example, if you're vegan and people say, well, you can't be vegan with children or you can't be vegan while you're pregnant, the information you're going to learn today may help you learn otherwise, and that way you can pass on the info. And that's a huge thing that I believe in, is even if something doesn't apply to me, I want to know it so that I can help educate and inspire other people, and I hope you have that same mindset. If you happen to think of a question today that doesn't apply to this specific video, that's where that form down below, that bit.ly link for the weekly Q&As comes into place. That way you can ask your question in the future, and we'll get to those as well. All right, so a few quick announcements for you as I do in every weekly Q&A. I want to remind you about the Rouxbe online plant-based cooking school. I've talked about this a bunch, and it's coming up in just a few days, less than a week away. It starts on Thursday, May 15th. So if you've been thinking about signing up for it, now is the time. Sign up so that you can be there alongside me. I am so excited. I just got this really nice introductory email from them that I wanted to read to you. They said, we have tools in place to help keep you on track so that you can focus on one specific area of this course at a time within your current schedule. All you need to do is treat your kitchen like a classroom for the next 6 months. This is a demanding course for sure, but the best part is that you get to eat a lot of your assignments. So basically this online course is a way for you to learn how to make incredible plant-based foods. For those of you who might not have any skills or might want to work on your skills, this is such a phenomenal opportunity. And you can take your time. You have 6 months to complete 120 hours of learning, and it's all done online. You get to eat everything that you learn, which is so neat, and I'm just so ecstatic about it. If you want to learn more about this course, there's a link down below. The other thing is the upcoming retreat in Costa Rica. I've mentioned this as well, so if you've been thinking about it, there's a few new announcements in terms of that. So I'm part of something called the Epic Living Retreat coming up June, I think it's 22nd to 29th, and it's all in Costa Rica. So it's a 7-day retreat giving you the opportunity to learn about healthy eating, learn about being more eco-friendly. I'll be teaching that class. There's yoga classes, Pilates classes, plus all sorts of amazing opportunities and activities happening in Costa Rica during this. The announcement is that the retreat has now been bundled into an all-inclusive bundle if you choose to, which means that it'll not only include your retreat specifically, but also accommodations. The retreat team partnered up with this incredible boutique hotel called it has the word mango in it because they actually have mango trees there, so you can pick mangoes off the trees at the hotel there and eat them. And there are monkeys living in the trees eating these mangoes. It just sounds so magical, and they're offering a really good price. So if you've been thinking about this, you can learn more about that special deal. And because a lot of you have expressed interest in the retreat but have said that you feel nervous about the cost, I want to let you know that we're actually offering an affiliate deal. So you can become part of the affiliate team, meaning if you share the link and people that you are connected to purchase and go to the retreat, you get a commission. And this is a great opportunity if you have a big network maybe on social media or even like a small one. You never know who's going to join it. And if they join, not only do you get to go together, which is an amazing way to connect, but you will receive a commission from that sale, which will help you pay for the course. I mean the retreat, not the Rouxbe course. I'm getting the two confused. But it's such a great opportunity to find a way to go. And if you partner this up with reducing things in your budget, maybe there's a few things in your life that you don't need to do for the next month that could help you save your money, I think you'd be really surprised how fast you could afford this amazing time. And I promise you that 7 days is going to be transformative and so worth the full investment that you put into it. I'm always here to answer more questions on that, and there are more links in the description field down below. I also want to mention a special shirt sale that I have going on here. So for those of you who have seen The food is my healthcare shirts that I make, and I've been thinking about buying them. I always like to offer you guys discounts as frequently as possible, and I mentioned most of these on Facebook, but I thought I should give you, the weekly Q&A viewers, an opportunity specifically. So here's what I've got to offer you. I'm going to pull this up on my screen here. I'm going to give you 15% off anybody watching these videos. Normally I offer about 10% off these shirts, but for you specifically, I'm going to pull up a little picture that I'm going to show you here. For you specifically, I'm going to offer 15% off if you buy it within the next couple days after watching this video. And I also have an extra bonus there. So you'll get 15% off, or you can choose to get free shipping. So the 15% off is on any amount of the shirts that you want, and the free shipping is when you buy 2 shirts. But I also have one more extra bonus in there for you, which is something that's going to be related to the, how do I get back to my screen here? Something related to the next thing I want to talk about today. So I recently was sent this beautiful box from So Delicious. If you're not familiar with So Delicious yet, they're honestly one of my favorite vegan companies out there. They make incredible dairy-free products, all different types there, and they sent me some of their new products. I just had to show you this box, because one of the things I love most about So Delicious is how fun they are. And it says right here, say yes to what you love. I love it when they send me these boxes because I reuse them in all sorts of ways, and they get me so excited. They now have these new products called their Cocoa Chinos. So for those of you who like coffee and maybe drink lattes, maybe you go to Starbucks or any other place on a frequent basis, this is a nice alternative for a number of reasons. A, it's vegan. B, it's convenient. C, it's inexpensive, but it's also organic. And I also believe, yes, they use fair trade coffee, which are things that you probably won't find at Starbucks or many coffee shops at that. They do have some sugar in it, so the sugar content is a little on the higher side, but you can easily dilute this with another one of your favorite milks. They use a coconut milk base here, so it's also soy-free. So if you want to mix this with some coconut milk, you can reduce the sugar but still have the flavor, and it'll last maybe twice or 3 times as long. That's what I do when I drink this, and I really, really love it. The ingredients are really clean in general, and it's non-GMO. So I just love the taste. I'm not a huge coffee drinker, but I really like beverages like this. Now, speaking of saving money, when I was mentioning the retreat earlier, one way to cut back and save money in your budget is to go to coffee shops less. So many people think that healthy living is expensive, but forget that they might drink coffee at a coffee shop every single day. Now, that might not be the case for all of you, but I know a lot of people who do that, and that adds up fast. Just think about spending $5 a day at a coffee shop. If you were to take that out and switch it with something like this, or make your own coffee at home, you can save a lot of money. But look for these if you're into it. I think they're really wonderful. And they also have this new coconut milk creamer. They call it the barista style. And so if for those of you who are looking for a dairy-free alternative to creamer, this is really nice. I know my mom, who's down there below watching, may like this. I wish I could send this to her right now. So I mentioned there was one more little bonus if you get the shirts. Just for those of you watching, I am giving away, I'm adding to the shirt bundle these coupons for So Delicious. They sent them to me. So these are free coupons. So if either of these products excite you or anything in the So Delicious line excites you, you can get it for free. So here's the deal. I mentioned the specials that I have going on now. One of them is if you use the code SODELICIOUS, all one word, at ecovegangal.storeenvy.com, whenever you buy a shirt, 2 of you will receive these So Delicious coupons. So use that code. I only have 2 of those available. But yeah, so if you want to try it and you want one of the shirts, this is a great time. You'll save 15%, plus you'll get these coupons for the next 2 people. So check it out. If any of that's confusing, let me know. So let's see, what else do we have here? Just one more thing to say is the newsletter I've talked about, that's in full force now. I've been sending out the newsletter every week. If you're interested in staying up to date with what's going on at Eco Vegan Gals, special giveaways, special products I'm loving, books I'm reading, recipes, I always have a recipe on there now. Check it out. The newsletter link is down below. So that's it for the announcements here. Let's jump right into the two special guests that I have here today. I'm so excited. So I mentioned Julieanna On, the plant-based dietitian, who is a mother of two, and the second one is my very own mother. As I was planning this special Q&A around Mother's Day and parenting, I realized how neat it would be to have my mom involved. And I can't... Oh, wait, did she just disappear? Oh, no. Come back, Mom. Where'd you go? Maybe she got so excited she accidentally logged out. We were having all these technical difficulties, and now she's gone. What the heck? All right, hold on. Let me see if I can bring her back. Maybe she got, like, really nervous and shy and just, like, disappeared. Well, hopefully she'll come back in the next few minutes because we're running behind as it is, and I was so excited to introduce you to her because I have all these special questions I want to ask, and I thought some of you may be... Here, she's calling me right now. Hold on a second. I can't believe this is happening live. Hello? Your computer froze? Can you restart it? Okay, turn it off, go back into Firefox, and I'll send you the link on there. And we'll move on, and then we'll come back around to you. Okay? All right, see you soon. What crazy timing that her computer freezes just as I'm about to announce her. The universe! Come on now. It's funny, Julieanna and I were talking earlier, like, she was so impressed that my mom, you know, knew how to use Google Hangouts. I'm like, she actually doesn't. My dad has been helping them out. My parents are so, so wonderful. And, you know, when I was thinking about putting together this Q&A, I thought it's so important for us to really honor our parents. And some of us might not have both parents or either parent in our lives anymore. So maybe honoring them is something that you want to do by living the best life possible. And ultimately, I feel like that is the best way that you can honor your parents. They brought you into this world one way or another, whoever they are to you. Some of us don't have the traditional family, but there's always people in our lives that have done a lot of work to make us who we are today. And you know, my parents are very different from me in a lot of ways, but I'm so much like them in a lot of ways, and I'm so grateful for them and everything that they do. I wish this was like Parents' Day tomorrow, not just Mother's Day, because I really owe both of them so much. And hopefully technical difficulties will go away so we can talk about my mom. But I'm going to switch up the structure here to talk about some other moms. So we'll jump into a little bit of this giveaway. So earlier this week, I got sent this wonderful book called The Kind Mama, and when I heard about this book by Alicia Silverstone, I knew I had to read it. Years ago, I did a bunch of reviews on the Kind diet. You can find some of my old videos from when I first started doing YouTube about Kind diet, and I've really loved this book for a while. I pick it up every once in a while to see her advice on specific subjects. Sometimes I use this to answer some of your own questions. And she has a few recipes in here. My number one favorite is called, I think it's called her Magical Healing Soup. And literally a few weeks ago, I had this soup like 4 days in a row or something. I was making it so much. All I wanted was soup, and it's so clean. Alicia follows mostly a macrobiotic plant-based diet. So she's entirely vegan, but she's got a huge macrobiotic influence. And she changed so many lives through this book. So a few years after that book came out, she decided to become a mother. And because of who she is and how passionate she is about educating people, she decided to write another book called The Kind Mama. And so many of you over the years have asked me questions about raising vegan children and being vegan during your pregnancy. And it's obviously something that I don't have any personal experience in. I'm not married yet. I want to have children at some point in my life, but I haven't had any yet. All of my experience has been through learning from other people. Oh, my mom's back, speaking of learning from people. And hi, Mom.
Hi.
We'll get back to you in just a moment. but to wrap up how I feel about the kind mama here, you know, I've been so curious about motherhood, and it's something that I really want to do at some point in my life. You know, I'm still figuring out when the right time will be for me, but I've been so curious about pregnancy, and I've been curious about raising healthy children. And so I speak to a lot of my friends on a regular basis. I luckily have some incredible women in my life who have had children through completely vegan pregnancies and who continue to be vegan and raise their children vegan. And I've heard pretty much entirely positive stories. Every once in a while I'll hear a few things, some little challenges that they've had, but overall I've just heard so many great things, but there's still so many questions. So I really wanted to read The Kind Mama for that reason. I'm sure a lot of you are in the same boat here. I'm only about a fourth of the way through the book, but I have learned so much already. It is sprinkled in a lot from the Kind diet, but I think because Alicia's probably learned so much since she wrote her first book, there's even more info in here. So as I said at the beginning of this video, if you're not planning to be a parent, you can still learn so much from this specific video and from this book. There's just so much knowledge in here, and it's so encouraging. It's so detailed. Her citations in here are like a mile long. There's so many references. You can tell she really did her research. So she's offering her perspective as an own mother. I think her son is a couple years old now. But she's also talked to OBGYNs, nutritionists, midwives, doctors, everybody she can talk to about having a healthy, plant-based pregnancy and raising her child that way as well. So it's just chock full of info. And later on in this video, I'm going to talk about how you can win a copy of this book. I'm giving away 5 copies. There's a link to it in the description field of YouTube if you want to jump in and get a quick preview, but there's a specific detail you have to stick around for in order to enter. So I'm insisting you watch this whole video to learn. If you're interested in this book, you're going to be interested in this Q&A. So we'll get more back into that, but now that my mother has joined us, I want to welcome her here. This is my mother, Joy, at our home where I grew up in Massachusetts, and I want to give her a quick little intro here. So some things about my mom. She loves animals, and I really believe that my love for animals came from my mother. We grew up on a small horse farm where she still lives today, meaning that we had horses and I rode them. I learned how to ride from my mother. We had turkeys, so you may have seen my video about my pet turkey that I put up. That's actually, I think, my most popular video ever. If you haven't seen that yet, I'll link in the description field. We had dogs. You can hear my dog barking in the distance right now. Cats. We had ducks at some point, chickens, geese, a rabbit, fish. My mother really gave me the opportunity to fall in love with animals and meet so many different types of animals, and pretty much any time I told her that I wanted an animal, she would say yes, which was just so special, and I really learned deep respect for them. My mother also loves to garden, so I learned a lot about all sorts of plants growing up. Both my parents were into this, whether it was flowers or various types of foods. We had multiple gardens throughout our small property. Also, speaking of gardening, being in nature. Where I grew up in Massachusetts was absolutely gorgeous. Not only do we have this beautiful piece of property, but acres and acres of woods. And as a young child, I was allowed to just walk around in nature and really become one with it, really respect it and love it. And my mother loves to travel like I do. She loves to make food, especially baking and all of that. Both my parents were really into making food, and I think a lot of that came from me. And one of the most important things about my mother is that she inspired me to be a businesswoman. I really learned so much about female empowerment from my mother, and so much about how to be a strong woman in general. My mother has been an entrepreneur in many aspects of her life and runs her own business now through the farm, actually. And so learning how to work from home is something that really I learned so much about from my mother. She also taught me a few very important things that I've never forgotten. One of them was that if you want to, you will. And you just basically just have to go after what you really want, and you can get it. You just have to be determined and make it happen somehow. So, without further ado, the last thing I should mention is that she has also helped me decorate. I have very little design sense in general, but thanks to my mom, I have this beautiful orchid. She gave me these really pretty pillows, which were eco-friendly. She helped me pick out these pillows behind me. So, if you like the way my place looks right now, a lot of that has to do with my mom. So my mother, Joy, I want to bring on and ask a few questions for her and anything else that she wants to say. So, hi, Mom.
Hi,
you suddenly got really dark.
It's my computer. My computer. It's going to freeze out again, I think.
Oh, no. Okay, well, we can always bring you back in and sprinkle you back in.
It doesn't like videos.
Oh,
it freezes up for whatever reason. But anyway, go ahead.
So, first question is, can you summarize briefly what I was like as a kid?
Oh, God.
What comes to mind?
Oh, I used to always say you were my little star. You were always chasing something far away. And difficult to be in the present. You always wanted something in the distance.
That's still true today.
Yep. I always felt that way. Like,
would you have guessed that I would be doing what I do now, like really into healthy, eco-friendly living, and based on anything that I was like as a kid?
No.
What did you think I was going to do then?
I had no idea what you were going to do. I honestly didn't. I never, aside from your love of videos and filming and desire to create, I didn't know. It was difficult. I know people used to ask me, what do you think Whitney's going to do? And I couldn't have told them.
How did you feel when I first told you that I was going vegetarian?
I think it's great. I think I'm fully for not eating animals, and a lot of it has to do with what you said, that I love animals and I don't like eating them.
Okay. Did you feel uncomfortable or like surprised when I first told you that?
No.
Okay. Huh. I don't think I've ever asked you that question before. So.
No, I think the more people that don't eat meat, the better.
How about when I decided to go vegan? Did that seem like more shocking or frustrating or anything?
At the time, it's a little bit. It seems at that time a little extreme. Not so much anymore.
Okay. Have you discovered any favorite vegan foods as a result of me being vegan? Like, are there anything that you've started to enjoy eating?
No.
Oh no, that was like the worst timing for a computer to freeze. Oh my gosh, how funny. It's so interesting. We didn't practice any of these questions, so all of this is just like off the cusp, but she didn't know what I was going to ask her. Hopefully she'll be back on soon. But so we don't delay anything, I know this video tends to run long anyways, I want to jump in and reintroduce Julieanna and ask her some of the questions. We'll get rolling with that, and then maybe I can finish asking mothers to my question. There's two more things I wanted to ask her that I thought you guys might find interesting. But let's talk about Julieanna in the meantime. So this is Julieanna Hever. It's Hever, right? Not Hever.
Yes, it's Hever.
Okay, good. So for those of you who aren't familiar or didn't watch last week, she is a plant-based dietitian. She's incredibly knowledgeable about nutrition and fitness. She's written 2 books, one of which I have right here called The Complete Idiot's Guide to Gluten-Free Vegan Cooking, which for those of you who are new to gluten-free and or vegan eating, this book is really helpful. She also has a Complete Idiot's Guide to, what's the rest of the title?
Plant-based nutrition.
So that's great too, because then you can learn all about the nutrition side of plant-based eating. And she's coming out with a 3rd book as well too, which I'm really excited about. And Julieanna is just one of my favorite people. She's such a light, she's such a wonderful person, and she's such a source of knowledge. So all of the questions that we're going to focus on today are somehow related to parenting. A lot of them may seem more about women, but if you're a man who wants to support a woman, be it your wife or a family member, or you want to find a wife one day and you're kind of like starting to do some research, this is definitely a great way to learn some more information. And let's get started with the first question. And I think my mom might be ready to join us, or maybe she's trying to call me right now to tell me she can't join us. But we'll worry about those technical difficulties later. So let's start with the first question here. And the first two are mainly around pregnancy. And this first one came from Myra, who asked, what are some essential baby-friendly vegan foods you should be eating during pregnancy? Any foods/things to stay away from? What is your input on that one, Julieanna?
Okay, well, no pressure, but pregnancy and breastfeeding are like the two most important times for eating well. Like, this is like, you can look at it as an opportunity to provide your child with future health. I mean, it sounds crazy because it's a lot of pressure. I was not plant-based yet 100% when I was pregnant, and I wish I was, because I see women go through their pregnancies and have amazing energy, and they recover really well, and they handle it, because pregnancy takes up so much energy, and it basically, your baby gets priority. It gets all of the nutrition and all the nutrients that it needs from you. So, you know, what you can do to optimize that is to make sure you're getting an abundance of all the nutrients that you need, which is pretty much everything at like the highest level. Like, if you look at the Institute of Medicine, the DRIs, like how much we need of each nutrient, it's always, or almost always, I think always, the most for pregnancy and breastfeeding. But nutrients to know, like before you get pregnant, if you're thinking about pregnancy, it's always important to make sure you're getting your folate, and I recommend getting this from plant foods, not from supplements if you can. So it's very easy to get folate from foods, you know, from leafy greens. Folate is like foliage, so leafy greens, anything green, and beans are great sources of folate as well. You know, always, if you're vegan, always make sure you're taking your B12 supplement anyway. So you need, you know, make sure you're on top of your B12 regardless. And then there's D. Make sure that your D levels are the same. But, you know, just basically making sure you're getting all of the nutrition. Iron tends to be a problem for a lot of pregnant women. I was not vegan during my pregnancy, and I had iron deficiency. It's very, very common because all the iron gets prioritized to the fetus. So a trick that we do for most people, and then during pregnancy especially, is to make sure you're consuming your iron-rich foods, also leafy greens and beans and stuff like that, together with vitamin C-rich foods, so fruits, vegetables. Combine them together, and it'll help improve the absorption. Another thing you could do for that is to avoid having, you know, tea and coffee and stuff that kind of blocks absorption as well. And anyway, the stuff that you want to stay away from, which was part of the question, includes caffeine. You want to keep that to a minimum, maybe 1 or 2 servings of caffeine a day at the maximum. You want to stay away from all, you know, herbs and medications make sure your doctor knows exactly what you're on. That's really important. All supplements, all herbs, even herbal tea, everything counts. And then nitrites and nitrates. What's wonderful about being vegan is you don't have to worry about the dairy and the eggs. Like, you know, you're higher risk for getting those bacterial or fungal different types of infections from raw dairy and stuff like that. So if you can, you know, if you're already vegan, you're not going to have to worry about that. Or nitrates, which are found in processed meats. So the other things you want to avoid are any kind of chemical exposure as much as you can, and just really sticking to the most wholest, most natural, most variety of whole plant foods as you possibly can. And variety is important, especially during that first trimester when, you know, you may not be feeling 100%. And just do your best. And tips for that, I can go off on tips for during that first trimester if you're having nausea. But that's all in my book, in the plant-based nutrition book, the whole chapter on pregnancy. It's just a really important time to just get as most nutritional bang for your caloric buck with every single thing that you can, and just do your best. Except Whitney, I can't hear you.
My mic was off.
Oh, there you go.
I said that I love what you said, and I didn't realize that your book had a whole section on pregnancy. So that's so great. Now you're another phenomenal resource. So I'll link to that book in the description field down below. So any of you who want to check out that book as an additional resource, I wanted to share with you just a few quick notes. This book has so much information on nutrition and diet and all of that. In fact, that's pretty much all I've read so far. I would say at least a fourth of the book is about that. And a few things that I read was basically Alicia is saying that a well-rounded whole foods plant-based diet is so ideal because you're getting all those nutrients that Julieanna's talking about. And Alicia talks about iron, she talks about folate, all the different vitamins, supplements, all the different aspects of it. And in general, what she was saying is the one benefit of avoiding meat and dairy is that you're avoiding foods that have hormones, antibiotics, GMOs, although you can still get those in the plant-based diet, unfortunately. Pesticides are another thing to avoid. Heavy metals like mercury that might be in something like fish. Refined sugar, processed foods, anything with BPA. Those are some of the top things that she's talking about amongst many others to avoid. But ultimately, she's saying the cleaner that you eat, the more whole foods that you eat, the less chance you're going to have any of those foods in your diet. So it's an extra benefit to eating healthy. And she has spoken to many experts, one of which says you can get everything that you need from the plant-based diet, and if you listen to your body, you'll know when you're not getting something. So we've talked with Julieanna last time about things like B12, which you might want to add in, and again, that's said in this book as well too. So lots of information, and it's so wonderful to have experts like Julieanna be able to back up some of those things there. The next question comes from Colette. Colette is wondering if we know of any ways to reduce mild hypertension. She's pregnant 32 weeks at the time she asked her question, and the doctor just says the usual to go on beta blockers. I don't even know what beta blockers are. Maybe you can enlighten us, Julieanna.
Well, there are different types of medications to control blood pressure, and obviously you want to do everything you can to avoid medications. It's better to do it without medications because there's always a side effect, especially those kind of medications, and especially introducing that during pregnancy, that's like a big red flag. If it's imminent and necessary, obviously this is up to your physician. I would never outrule your doctor's recommendations, but what you can do, honestly, the best thing you could do for blood pressure, we see this all the time, the research completely supports that a whole food plant-based diet reduces hypertension. It reduces your blood pressure and it reduces the actual risk for hypertension. So during pregnancy, everything kind of goes wonky. Like literally your whole body changes in so many ways. Your metabolism changes. You're at risk for everything just shifts. It's extraordinary to be the vessel for another human being and see how dramatically that impacts your body in so many different ways. And you know that this is most likely temporary. I don't know what your medical history is, but if you can, I would just eat as clean as possible and minimize processed foods because, first of all, eating processed foods crowds out the calorie room for whole plant foods where you're getting all the nutrition. And secondly, processed foods are the #1 source for sodium. And high sodium diets have been linked to hypertension. And you know, a way to reduce that would be to just get as close to nature as possible. And that should reduce the problem. The other thing you can and I recommend doing is exercising. If you aren't currently exercising, obviously speak to your physician, but it's something that can really help with blood pressure moderation. Make sure you're doing it on a regular basis. You know, it doesn't have to be crazy jarring, and it shouldn't be while you're pregnant, but just consistent exercise, ideally every day, and listen to your body. But that's another good way to lower your blood pressure naturally. And then making sure your potassium levels are at a good source, which if you're eating whole plant foods, fruits, and vegetables, you're getting plenty of potassium. So again, there are so many different reasons to eat whole plant foods and crowd out the processed foods and avoid the animal products. This is a perfect example of when you will see massive, really quick benefits of doing so.
Wonderful. One other thing that I learned too, which just kind of goes to support what Julieanna was saying, because Alicia talks about hypertension, high blood pressure in her book. In addition to the processed foods, cutting out things like refined sugars, she also mentions getting plenty of fiber, which is something that you'll get plenty of on the plant-based diet, because a lot of people who are eating diets rich in animal products are going to be getting less fiber than somebody who's eating a whole foods plant-based diet. So it's really just the whole food plant-based diet, as Juliana and Alicia are saying here is that really supports your health in so many different ways, especially during pregnancy. We're going to pause from the questions for a moment because I have my mom back, and I know she's having technical difficulties with her computer. So, Mom, I wanted to ask you, wow, it's so dark. It's so frustrating. We need to get you a new computer.
I know we do. Sorry.
That's okay. So we got cut off right when I asked if you had any favorite vegan foods, and you said no, but I know that you love certain foods. Like, did you freeze? Darn it, she did. Okay.
No, now I'm unfrozen again.
Okay.
It's going to crash in a minute, so.
Okay, well, then real quick, I want to jump to, do you have any, what are your favorite things to receive on Mother's Day was what I was going to ask you.
Love from my family.
Aw. You might be frozen again, but
yeah, I think so. Oh,
okay. That's okay. I'm good. I can hear your voice at least. Okay. Are there any memories of some of your favorite things that you received from me and my sister Mary over the years?
And I've kept them all. They're little tokens that you've gotten like at the Apple Blossom Festival and made at school, and I still have them, and I know that whenever you got mad at me, you'd run into my room and take them away from me. And I'm taking that away, and you would take it away, anything you gave me for Mother's Day.
Oh, great.
And then, later on you'd give it back.
The skeleton's in my closet.
Yes, and I still have those little items, and I still think about you doing that.
Did you get the Mother's Day present I sent to you this year?
I did. I got it today.
What did you get?
Well, I opened it quickly because I haven't been home very long today, but just very quick. I can't even say, there were just some little items, but I know some of those little honey sticks.
The bee-free honey?
Right, and a few other things, but again, I really didn't have a chance to look at it.
Well, you always love moisturizers, so I sent you some of my favorite natural moisturizers.
Yes. I love the moisturizers you send me. They're great.
See, I always feel like it's a nice opportunity to just send something as a token or some of your favorite things on these holidays.
Yep.
But as you said, sometimes it's just letting someone know that you love them.
Exactly, and that they appreciate everything that a mother has done for them. Because it's all mothers, that they should be shown appreciation.
Why do you think that's important? Why do you think that's important for mothers?
Because we do a lot and we don't get a lot of thanks back.
Do you have any memories of you and your own mother? Like things that you did together or gifts that you gave?
I remember I gave her a puppy once on Mother's Day.
Did you?
And she made me give it back.
Oh, no! I don't remember that story.
Her birthday was a couple days before Mother's Day, so I got her a puppy.
Where did you get the puppy from?
Oh, somebody was giving away puppies, a neighbor, and I took one and I said I'd give it to my mom. Of course, it was for me, but she made me take it back. I always made her breakfast in bed.
Aww.
I'm probably gonna freeze again.
Okay.
Comes a spinning wheel. Uh-oh.
Maybe for Mother's Day, what you really should have received is a new computer.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? Still time. You can send me one. You can send me an Apple gift certificate.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, I'll have to sell a few more food as my healthcare shirts in order, so maybe it'll be the cause. Buy food as my healthcare shirts so I can buy my mom a new computer.
That's right.
But before you freeze entirely, come on, I know you can think of some vegan products you love. Like, what about the creamers and things?
Oh, yeah, those are good. For some reason, I never think of them as being vegan, but you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Well, it's probably better that you don't think them as being vegan.
Right. I don't.
Are there any other just think of non-dairy or non-meat products that you've started to like? Burgers?
Well, I eat all those artificial bacon products. Those are probably vegan.
I don't know about those.
They're soy-based, aren't they?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I think they have egg in them or something.
Oh.
But you've decided you don't eat any meat at this point, do you?
No. And I don't want to.
How come?
Because I almost find it repulsive to eat meat.
And how about dairy? You've said you've cut back on a lot of dairy
Oh
products.
yeah, I ate very little dairy.
Do you
And
want
the
to
next thing
share
is
some
I
of the
lost a lot of weight without even trying. I was very surprised.
from not eating dairy?
Exactly. I cut out dairy because I was a big fan of cheese, and I cut it all out and lost 10 pounds without even trying.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's fairly recent, isn't it?
Yeah, in the past year.
And didn't you say that you've noticed some other health benefits from giving up dairy?
Um,
Like,
I was,
weren't your allergies feeling better?
well, yeah, I guess.
Because
Yeah,
you were able to go up like your asthma medicine or something, I thought.
yeah, but a lot of that had to do with, I thought where I was living because I go to Florida in the winter. But
Oh.
I thought that was more to that. I'm not sure.
Well, good. Anything else you want to add about raising me, being a mother, being eating healthy, any of that?
You were very strong-willed and that has continued
For good or for bad?
for both.
What about healthy eating as a mom? Have you noticed, like how's it impacted me, you, the family? Oh, she's off now. Well, that's my mom. I wish you could see her better, but she's working on a computer that needs to be replaced because I don't even remember how old that computer is, but it's old. And that's actually a gift I gave her. So I love giving my mother gifts. I'm not a huge promoter of consumerism. I think it's so important for us to really be mindful of how much we consume, and holidays like Mother's Day, as she said, it's not about what you give physically, but the love that you give one another. So if you can give your mom a hug tomorrow, if you can give your mom, a sweet card, handwritten, an e-card even, any sort of note, right on her Facebook wall if she's on Facebook, just letting them know that you care and that you're thinking of them. A phone call is simple as well. But if there's something you've been wanting to give them, like I wasn't planning on giving my mom anything, but I had recently bought her some of this moisturizer I wanted to try, and I just sent it to her. I thought it was a perfect opportunity to give it to my mom. Speaking of which, Juliana is a mom of two. She has two young children. What are some of your favorite things that they've done for you as a mom?
Well, they're still little, but yesterday my son came home from school with this tile that he had painted, and it was like ceramic, and I love it. And it's got his name and the year, and it's so sweet because he actually had to put time in it. And my daughter makes me all sorts of stuff. I think she's handcrafting me a headband right now. They get all excited and they try not to tell me, but then they tell me, and it's so cute. And cards, and just everything that they say and do, it's so cute. They're trying. As long as they're trying and telling me that they love me and appreciate me, I'm so happy. Because it's true, like your mom said, it is a thankless job. It is grueling to be a mom. You're 24/7 on, and and they don't realize what your mothers do for you until you become a mother.
Yeah. All right, well, let's jump back in. I know we're always going to go over time. There's just so much to cover, you guys. I know an hour is a long time to watch, but hopefully you're enjoying the content. And don't forget, you can always skip forward in the YouTube description field. Once this is recorded, you'll have links to jump from section to section to section, so you don't have to watch the entire time. But I wanted to get to a few more questions and then open up to the live questions. And for those of you watching live, if I don't get to your questions or we don't get to your questions today, we will get to them eventually in another video. But I always record them down and just try to ask questions that are related to motherhood, parenthood, pregnancy, any of that. Those are the questions that are going to get priority today. And otherwise, that'll be reserved for a next video, non-mother related. So this next question comes from Kimberly. Kimberly is trying to find some vegan/gluten-free alternatives for her children, including packed lunches that won't embarrass them. She's looking for quickish and fun ideas and also cheap. Unfortunately, her 8-year-old is very picky and is not keen on the idea of quote-unquote healthy stuff. She's not forcing total vegan on him, but this being done in response to his long-term behavioral issues in an attempt to have him freed from persecution of the ADHD detectives, aka public school teachers. Juliana, what do you have in response to that one?
Well, keeping kids happy and healthy with their food is I always say literally the biggest challenge of my life. Grad school was nothing compared to feeding my kids the way I want them to eat. I'm a big believer, at least let's start with at home, green smoothies. You know, I do chocolate smoothies for my kids, and sometimes when they're just not interested, I pay them to drink them.
Do you really?
Yes, I bribe them because it's so important for me to get that into their body. So I have paid them, like I'll bribe them with stars or with, you know, just treats, like other gifts, because I want them to eat it, drink it. But that's a good gluten-free vegan breakfast, or a gluten-free oatmeal, or a quinoa cereal, something like that, if they like cereals. And there's a lot of great whole grain cereals on the market now. And I just got a dehydrator, so I'm going to start experimenting with granola. So I could do an oil-free, sugar-free granola, because a lot of those on the market are really sugary and fatty. And then for schools, okay, I know the whole thing about being embarrassed. It's so challenging because there's not only the picky taste buds, but their friends are all commenting, and their friends are all eating junk food. You know, those snackables, those packs that are
Lunchables?
Lunchables. They are everywhere. I mean, the stuff I see in these kids' lunchboxes, and the worst part is that your kid could go to school with a perfectly healthy lunch and then swap stuff. Like my daughter told on my son that he was swapping out his Lara bars for other stuff, and she wouldn't even tell me, which is good. But other stuff you could pack. Well, I guess what I recommend is they get sick of stuff pretty fast, so just keep cycling it. You know, like really something that's really healthy that they like. Don't do it every day, or do it for a few days and then take a break, because otherwise you're just going to get sick of it for a while. So we went through a phase with seaweed where that's all they wanted, and then they didn't eat it for a while, and now we're bringing it back a little bit. And then stuff like, you know, wraps. Since it's gluten-free, you could do rice tortilla or corn tortilla and turn it into a wrap. So you could make a PB&J wrap, or you could make just vegetables and hummus wrap. My kids like that sometimes. I do quesadillas sometimes. I'll do a vegan cheese with some kale, and I give them quesadillas for school. And then, you know, like baked chips. You know, you could take corn tortillas and put them in the toaster, and those make good chips. Or you can do those nut bars. Like if you want to do a more affordable nut or healthy bar, I recommend making your own. I have a few recipes in my books on those, like where you just literally put dried fruits and nuts in a food processor, and then it makes like enough for a week. And then you press them into a pan, and then you cut them, and then you've got your own do-it-yourself bars, and they're a lot more affordable.
Nice.
Trail mixes too. Like the kids like to make their own trail mixes, so I'll buy the ingredients that they like and let them pick what they like, and then stick them into individual bags. We reuse the bags, of course. And you know, there's just like different things. Like I try to keep it interesting, but it's very challenging. Just, you know, stuff that you like. You could always do leftovers from the night before. You know, different kinds of sandwiches with. You could use wraps, or you could even try the gluten-free breads if you could find one that is, you know, as least processed as possible. And then just, you know, you could make shapes out of them with cookie cutters. You could, if you bake at home, that's a really good trick. If you bake something really healthy, like even corn muffins, whole grain corn muffins, or whole grain oat blueberry muffins or something, they love that stuff, and that's a good thing to take to school too. So varying it up and sticking to just finding what they like. And chopped up veggies, they like chopped up veggies. You could do like a side of hummus or a side of other kind of bean dip, or even guacamole. That doesn't last very long, but it's good for dinner time to have at home. And then like the other night for Cinco de Mayo, I made this whole fiesta with a ton of different foods. And I just got really inspired, and I love Mexican food. So I made all these different dishes, and I put it out on the table. It was like do-it-yourself burrito night, and they did either burritos or tacos or whatever, and they put it all together, and they loved having the, you know, ability to do it themselves. Oh, and by the way, fruit is always a good thing to add to lunches, because kids love fruit. And taking them to the farmer's market gets them excited about different foods. Like if you have them pick out their certain fruits and vegetables, then they're more engaged in it. Just like cooking at home, if they cook at home with you, they get more engaged, and they have more incentive to eat the product. So getting them involved as much as possible and listening to what they like and going with the flow. That's my best advice, is going with the flow.
That's great. Well, Julieanna and I were talking the other day about how we were both going to be doing the Rouxbe course that I've mentioned, and I thought it was such a great idea for parents, because you're going to get so many amazing recipes, plant-based recipes that are healthy, and it'll get you in the kitchen. So why not get your kids involved if they're older enough, or if you're married and you want to get your partner involved, or your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whoever it may be, getting them involved with cooking and just having as many resources as possible. I wanted to share with you some of my favorite books that might benefit you as parents. One, of course, is Kind Mama. She has over 30 recipes in here targeted for healthy eating for mothers, for parents, and for kids. And Kind Diet, her first book, has a lot of great recipes. One person commented that these seem to be a little too much, especially for new parents, so when your time is super limited, when your kids are younger. So I also wanted to mention 30-Minute Vegan, which is one of my favorite books. All recipes under 30 minutes, so super simple and healthy. These are super clean for the most part. If you're looking to save money, I've mentioned this many times, Eat Vegan on $4 a day. These recipes are also really simple. If you're looking for simple, super healthy, clean recipes, Rawvolution is my favorite raw foods cookbook, and these recipes, or not even cookbook, recipe book, I should say. These recipes are super easy, and all the links to these will be in the description field, so you can easily find them. Unprocessed, I believe this book was self-published, but it is on Amazon and some other websites. This has great recipes that are salt, oil, and sugar-free and all plant-based. So if you're looking for clean, unrefined, unprocessed foods, I love this as a resource. I mentioned that Alicia's book is based on macrobiotic eating. So another great macrobiotic book is Blissful Bites by my friend Christy Morgan. And these recipes tend to be really simple, and she's got a lot of great information about clean, plant-based foods. And then lastly, I want to mention a few books that are very helpful for mothers. I haven't read all of these entirely through, because I've got so many books to read, but I've really been meaning to. This one's called Lunch Lessons, Changing the Way We Feed Our Children. These aren't specifically vegan books, but they're nice to add to your bookshelf to learn more about healthy eating. Similarly, is Consuming Kids, Protecting Our Children from the Onslaught of Marketing and Advertising. This is more about raising your children without being too influenced by commercials and all of the advertising out there, just focusing in on a healthier, more natural, eco-friendly way of life. And lastly, Mom Energy by Ashley Koff, who is so amazing. She's a registered dietitian as well, and this is just all about mothers and conserving your energy and just being a great mom in general, a simple plan to live fully charged. So for all of you mothers and fathers and anyone around children, those are some good resources for you. And again, those links will all be in the YouTube description once this video is over. Let's move on to the next question for Juliana. This one comes from Kathy. I am a 36-year-old mother of 6. Amazing. I have homeschooled all of my children. I've decided to stop smoking and no more meat. I'm looking for help in accomplishing these goals. I'm also looking for a workout plan I can do at home with the kids. Their ages range from 15 months to 17 years old. None of us are overweight or unhealthy, and I would like to keep it that way. So Juliana, you've talked a lot, and I just mentioned all these great resources. Maybe if you have anything else additionally to add there for just keeping kids healthy in general at home, but you are so knowledgeable about fitness, so maybe you can speak more about the idea of doing exercises at home with your kids.
Yes, I love this question because I was a trainer for many, many years. I'm still technically a trainer, but I used to go to people's homes. So I would go and I would, these mostly parents, I would go at 6 in the morning, the kids were getting up, and so I always incorporated the kids into the workouts, and we had so much fun. And then when I became a mom, it was like, oh my gosh, I don't get to go to the gym every day, and I'm here at home, what do I do? And I panicked because I didn't have help, and I needed to figure out how to get my workouts in. So first tip for the moms to get your workouts in, what I recommend, and this works as your kids are growing. So what you could do is kind of plant things throughout your house. So like I have a little mini trampoline, and my kids love it. And then I have like those yoga blocks that I do all sorts of exercises on. I came up with massive major routines just with the yoga block. And then some rubber tubing. Like it doesn't take a lot of equipment, and it doesn't take expensive equipment. In fact, some of the simplest things are the best. But just planting little stations around the house. Like if I leave a tube around my staircase, my kids will start playing with it automatically. And so do I. Like it kind of inspires you to start. It's like a reminder. It's like a prompt to start your exercise. But like I remember we've done stuff where we'll have the dads like bench pressing their kids if they're little enough, and they can push them up, they're laying down and they're bench pressing them, or they're bicep curling them, or shoulder pressing them, or just, like kids, when you have weights around, they get all excited and they want to show that they can lift the weight. So I have obviously when I was training, I have tons of these little in-home equipment, but dumbbells don't cost a lot of money either, and they last forever. So if you get some dumbbells to have in the house, you could use them all the time. Like I usually literally plant them in front of the television so that when the TV's on, or we'll start doing little exercises, and I give them the smaller version and we train together. Or we've done yoga videos together, or I'll train them, or they want it. They get excited about this stuff. Like kids get totally into it, and it's inspiring. And then there's this woman, Dr. Sherry Pagoto, on Twitter. I found her, and she's a weight loss expert, and she does this thing called the Plank a Day Challenge. And you do a plank every day, at least one a day. And I got inspired. I'm like, I'm going to do a plank a day. So now every time I do a plank, my kids come and they plank with me, and we're just planking around the house, and we have my timer and like, how much longer? And
whoa.
Family that exercises together, it's so fun. We have a good time with it. And then, of course, doing sports and outdoor stuff on the weekends. I take them, like on my birthday, they were off of school, so I said, okay, you guys promised me, you want to make me happy on my birthday, take me to the track. So I made them come with me. We went to the track, and I had my daughter bring a book for when she got tired. But I asked them, I said, it's my birthday, you can't complain. So they came and they ran, and they got a lot of running in. And then we did jumping jacks, and we do push-ups, and it's like it's changing as they grow up. It's been very interesting. When they're babies, it was like as soon as they would nap, I would exercise, and now it's more incorporating them and including them, and it's fun. There's a lot of different ways. Just make it fun and creative, and doesn't have to be fancy. Like even a jump rope, that's a great tool to have at home that I love to use and my kids get all excited about. We do walking lunges together. Like there's a million different things you can just do. And if you just insert sets into your day, it all adds up. So you don't have to work out in 1 hour period all the time. You could break it up. Like 6-10-minute sessions is the same as an hour session together physiologically. So you're going to get the same benefits if you break it up and just do things throughout the day.
I love that. Now I'm inspired. I wish you were my mom. I love my mom. I wish you were my second mom, let's say.
Oh, I'll be your second mom. I get really old.
So we're over at the hour mark now, so let's see if we can jump to this last question really quickly, and then I want to make sure I get to at least a couple of the questions from the live Q&A. So again, anybody watching live, go to Google+. There's a little Q&A section where you can ask them, and I haven't even looked at them today because we've had so much to cover. So again, your questions will be answered eventually, if not today. So the last prepared question is from Miriam, and it was in reference to Julieanna's Q&A last week, in which she mentions that her husband was not vegan. She also asked Julieanna if your kids are vegan, and how do you handle that on a day-to-day basis? Now, Julieanna's already talked a bunch about feeding her kids vegan. I don't know if she said if her kids were vegan or not, but I would love to hear her talk more about whether her husband's vegan. Because Miriam said, my husband is an omnivore who is totally fine with my veganism and is okay with my youngest and oldest being vegan. We never have eggs or dairy in the house, and he likes the alternatives. However, my husband often gives fish or meat that he brings home to my middle son. I want to gradually shift this. My son is 2. He is not yet able to understand when I tell him that the carne meat also comes from, or he always asks for, comes from a living animal. So another thing to mention is that Miriam's husband is Spanish, and maybe she is Spanish and her family is as well. So she's also looking for some literature, books on veganism to leave around the house for her husband, but hasn't been able to find anything because there aren't a lot of vegan books in Spanish. So I don't know if you know about any Spanish vegan books, Julieanna, or anybody else watching. If you can comment so that Miriam could see your comments, I would love to hear that. So Julieanna, I would love to hear how you handle having a non-vegan husband and whether or not your children are vegan, and how does your husband influence, or how does the balance work between a non-vegan husband, a vegan mother, and children?
Well, as you began that question, my husband happened to walk in the room, and he gave me such a look.
Hey, we're not judging. We're not judging here.
Okay, so here are the facts. I'm vegan.
You should tell him to come join. Join us.
Yeah, right. No, you don't want him to come join. Oh, no, and he's keeping the kids nice and quiet. Okay, I've known him for 20 years, so I wasn't vegan when I first met him. So he watched this whole evolution, and I've been trying to go vegan for more than that since before I knew him. But when I did, he was like, "Oh, that's crazy," like what most people say, that's so extreme. And then one day, I think a year and a half into it, we sat down and watched Earthlings together, and I had not seen that previously. And as the credits were rolling, he said, I will never touch animal flesh again. And he doesn't eat meat anymore. But he hasn't gotten that connection with the dairy and the egg. So it was an evolution for me, too, to not be... At first, you go vegan, you're like, oh, my God, you want the world to go vegan, and you want to keep talking about it. And when you learn all that stuff, it's like you just want to, talk about it and change everyone. And it doesn't. And then I realized, it took me a long time to realize that it was off-putting for a lot of people, and it was ineffective, and it made people rebel, and it actually isolated me a lot. And I started getting really down. It was really a hard transformation. But when I realized, because I didn't have a big support group at all, like I didn't really know many vegans at all. So when I first did that, I had to learn how to just say less and just show more. And I think that I've now, after all these years now, I mean, it's been like about almost 8 years, I think, officially. And in that period, now my parents, who are so, oh my gosh, they're almost completely vegan. My husband's almost completely vegan. When he has his lab work to be done, I was telling you this, Whitney, when he has his lab work, we do our annual labs, and we're both very competitive. We both like to have the best cholesterol profile. So a couple weeks beforehand, he goes vegan, which to me, and he's a doctor, so to me that shows that he acknowledges how powerful a vegan diet is for your health. And he's very supportive. Like in the workplace, he goes off and talks in his department at where he works. He's teaching all the doctors, and they're very laughing at him. But it's going in. And what I've noticed is that the less you say, and just the more you role model the energy and the great cholesterol profiles, and the more people we see that are reversing their disease, people start getting it. Goes in subtly, and I think that that's a much more powerful way to inspire people. Telling someone what to do, I don't want to be told what to do, and nobody really wants to be told what to do. And I think that the less you impose your beliefs, the more powerful it can be. So he's mostly there. My kids now are the challenge because, well, first of all, I'm very careful with them. They've never been to fast food restaurants. I've avoided that. My son has had meat twice on accident, once at camp when he thought it was a tofu dog and it wasn't. And I wasn't there, and once when he took a bite of his friend's turkey sandwich, when I turned around, we were at Subway, and he was having a veggie sub. Those are the only 2 times in his life that he's had meat. But they look, their dad is like, oh, I could have dairy if I want to. So they're oh, Dad says we could have. And my husband is the one that likes all the sweets. I don't even do any desserts, so I'm kind of like the boring parent. I'm full, and I'd rather have more kale, where he's having a pastry, and they're like, oh, pastry. So that's the challenge with that. But I've learned that I'm not going to impose this on my children. I'm not going to force them, but I'm teaching them too. I'm teaching them the nutrition part of it. I take them to animal sanctuaries. I talk to them a lot about it, and we have a very open dialogue, and it's morphing and changing. So my advice is to role model it, to not. I mean, I'm still learning too, but just to not put so much pressure on yourself or your husband, because it only pushes them further away. And I really still think someday he's going to go vegan, my husband. I'm still fingers crossed. But he gets it, and that's all that matters to me. And my kids are just like that, and they're getting it too. And sometimes they go through phases where, I'm going to be vegan, Mommy, like you. And they go through a period of time, but then all of a sudden someone's having birthday cake, and they're like, Mommy, can I? And I don't want them to have issues around food either, where they feel like, I don't want them to grow up feeling this negative connotation towards being vegan, because I think it's a beautiful, wonderful thing. So that's it. Role modeling it, easing up. This took me many years to get to this point, and the whole concept of free will. I can't impose it. I can't force it, and I think that would only be counterintuitive. And just also finding your boundaries. That's what we spoke about last week. Is I don't want animal products in the house, and that's just my boundary. And we kind of have an agreement. And it's just going with the flow again. It's just parenting and raising a family and being married. Those all are, very, very interesting. Yes, and wonderful, exciting experiences as well.
I love that. I love that. There's so much to add there, and it's really amazing hearing your perspective, given your experience in the vegan world and with nutrition and all of that. It shows that it's still a challenge no matter who you are and what you're doing. It's just a balancing act. So thank you for sharing that perspective. I have a few questions coming in from the Q&A that I wanted to move towards, and one of them is again from Miriam, and the question is, do you have any tips for pregnancy and nausea? That was always my big problem, but it's over now, thank goodness.
Yes, that is the worst feeling in the planet. I know, I feel your pain, but I'm glad you're past that point. I recommend staying as hydrated as possible. Stuff like ginger, like candied ginger, helps a lot of people. The other thing is eating consistently throughout the day, like when you can eat, like trying to have like usually like starchy foods, like very plain foods. People used to do saltine crackers, but you can do like a whole grain cracker, just simple foods, or just brown rice or even white rice, whatever you can get down to a certain extent. And then during the periods of the day, if you have them, I've worked with some people that have had extreme versions of this, and it's been really difficult. But if you can, during the periods where it subsides, that's when you go for the most nutrient-dense foods you possibly can, like get in a green juice or a green smoothie just to replenish, and the most important thing is hydration. Even coconut water, just whatever you can get down, just do your best and ride it out, because, it happens to some people. The other thing is I would take a multivitamin, a prenatal vitamin during that period, just to reassure that you're getting the nutrients, because you do need to make sure you have those nutrients. And to be assured that what you went into this pregnancy with, you're still nourishing the baby from that. You still have some reserves. And then it's usually only lasts that first trimester, usually, ideally. So then as soon as you are feeling better, get to work eating. That should be the cleanest, most beautiful, nutrient-dense, colorful, gorgeous foods that you could possibly eat as much as possible. Like that is like just make up for lost time. Don't overeat, I don't mean that, but just make sure that your diet is really super clean.
Wonderful. And I'm sure that, I don't know if I got across that point to the book yet, but I'm sure it's covered in The Kind Mama as well. But it sounds like you and Alicia are pretty much on the same page of a lot of things, Julieanna. So I'm surprised you're not interviewed in this book. So next question, let me scroll down to it here, is from Alessandra. So Alessandra says, my nephew is 16 weeks old and has very dry skin. My sister is exclusively breastfeeding him, and she has been told that this is completely normal. Do you have any tips on using natural oil/cream to help hydrate his skin? And a follow-up to that was, my sister has tried coconut oil, but she finds it absorbs very quickly and does not do much, and the same for organic sunflower oil. So do you have any perspective or experience with that, Julieanna?
You could try other oils like jojoba oil or a sesame seed oil. There's different oils that you can try. I would also look at the mom's diet. What is she eating? Maybe your nephew, right? Is reacting to some food, like a lot of high allergen foods that can cause that. That can cause like an eczema or of sorts. But yeah, it's totally common, and this happens and it fluctuates. But what usually you could boil it down to what's in the diet of the mom a lot of times, and that could change it. So I would tell her to keep a very detailed food journal and note when the baby responds with the outbreak. Like if there's an extra, like if you notice, you'll notice it, and just document it, and then you can pinpoint stuff. And the most common source of this would be obviously like eggs and dairy are very common for babies to respond to, but also sometimes there's stuff like soy or wheat or nuts. So just note what you're eating, and then when your baby reacts, and then start looking at just track it, and then identify what could be causing it. Then try pulling that out of the diet and see if the baby gets better. But it's not always an external thing. Like it's mostly coming in from the milk, possibly.
That's a great point. My best friend had a girl a few years ago now, and she noticed the same thing. She would track what she was eating, and she started to notice the baby's response, and later found out her daughter had some sensitivities to certain foods. And it was really neat to watch her go through that process, because of course her reactions to foods was changing a lot too, and the cleaner that she ate, the better she felt, and so did the baby. So I love that point there. Your skin is your largest organ, so whatever you put in your body is going to affect your skin, and whatever you put it on your skin is going to affect your body. So I think it's amazing that Alessandra's sister is trying to use things like coconut oil and safflower and jojoba, as Juliana mentioned, because she needs to be careful about what she puts on. Certain moisturizers can affect not only your body but the baby's as well, and you definitely don't want that. So I think it's brilliant. So that's another reason why I really love the Kind Mama book, is that it talks about all aspects of our health. I feel like most parents have not been educated on that side about how what you eat affects everything, and so we don't even think about how that could affect, say, your dry skin. When if you eat a really healthy diet, that's going to affect every aspect of you and your baby. So I love that. We've ran over today, so I think we're going to wrap it up, but let me just check and see if there are any other last-minute questions here. I see a bunch of questions from people that weren't necessarily related to parenting, so I've cataloged them, and those will be addressed in a future video. And Alessandra actually said, thank you, Juliana, for your tips. She's going to report that to her sister, and Alessandra, I hope that you please let us know what ends up working for her. You know, Juliana and I love hearing from you guys, so if you want to comment on the YouTube video after it's been recorded to keep us posted and keep everybody else watching posted, if any of these tips work for you, that would be fantastic. So I think that's it. Let's see. Okay, well, let's wrap it up. It's 5 o'clock. I know Juliana, speaking of which, needs to get back to being a mother herself. She's got her kids and her husband waiting for her. So I just want to thank you so much, Juliana, and remind everybody to check out your website, which is, what, plantbaseddietitian.com, correct?
Yes, correct. Thank you so much, Whitney.
And that'll be linked down below. Also, she's got her 2 books, one of which is Gluten-Free Vegan Cooking, and the other one, These 2 Idiots' Guides to Vegan Food. Oh, she's holding it up. Yeah, this one has a whole section about pregnancy in it, which I didn't know.
Chapter.
A whole chapter.
A whole chapter on pregnancy and a whole chapter on raising kids.
That's... See, I invited you on here, and I didn't even realize how incredibly knowledgeable you were about that. I instinctually just knew that you would be the perfect person for this. So all the links to Juliana, her YouTube page, which is amazing, her Facebook, her Twitter, all of that. If you want more info, she loves answering questions, so if you ask her questions on social media, she'll get to you. And I'm encouraging her to do more videos because I think she's so knowledgeable and fun on camera. And so I promised all of you, I got so caught up in this video today that I didn't let you know what the special password is. So because I'm giving away, hold on a second, let me bring it up here. I'm giving away copies of The Kind Mama. I've got 5 copies to give away. And if you go to ecovegangal.com, there's a link to the giveaway. You can also click in the YouTube description down below. But in order to enter, you need to enter a special password to let me know that you were watching this video. And this is the password right here. It's Bear Blue. This is Alicia Silverstone's son's name, her only child. And I thought that was such a cute little password to put up there. So spell it all one word, just like that. Doesn't matter if it's capitals or not, just to let me know. And I do want to remind you as well that I have the special shirt special for you, so I want to bring that up real quick too, the little visuals. I'm all visually oriented today. So for those of you watching, you can get 15% off any of the Eco Vegan Gal Food is My Healthcare shirts. Or if you order 2 shirts, you can get free shipping on those. So you pick one of those, and then one lucky person will also get the coupons for free So Delicious products, and you just enter in the code, all one word, So Delicious. The first 2 people to do that when they buy Food is My Healthcare shirts will receive 15% off plus one of those coupons. So you'll be getting a really great deal there. So Delicious products are usually $5 or more depending on what you're buying. They're still, of course, worth it, but it's always nice when you get things for free, right? So I hope you like that, and stay tuned for more giveaways and all sorts of special things when you sign up for the Eco Vegan Gal newsletter. Of course, that link is down in the description field below. That's the best way to stay up to date and get all sorts of exclusive offerings through that. And all the information, ecovegangal.com, how to subscribe to these videos, the Google Plus links, Juliana, all the products we mentioned, those are all in the description field. That's where you will always find info. If you watch this and you have more questions, the link is also down below to ask your questions for future weekly Q&As. And if you ask questions live today and we didn't get to them, I promise we'll get to them one day. There's so much, right? This is so important, I feel like, to let people know all of the amazing ways to be healthy, eco-friendly, vegan, and do it in just a fun, simple tips for all of that. That's what these videos are all about. Thank you guys so much for watching. For those who watch all the way to the end, it means so much. I hope you learned a lot today. I can't wait to hear your feedback. Thank you to Julieanna, who had to take off for her family. And I will see you next Saturday. As I mentioned before, I'm having Elizabeth Castoria, who wrote the book How to Be Vegan, on as a special guest. So we're going to be talking all about different aspects of the vegan lifestyle and how to do it successfully. I hope you tune in for that, and I will see you then. Bye.